Here we're going to be solving some inequalities using the multiplication property of inequality with signed fractions, meaning that the coefficient of our variable is negative because it has a sign in front of it. So let's go ahead and we'll rewrite our problem. And I have 7/4 is greater than or equal to negative x over 16. And one of the things I want you to get used to thinking about is if I don't have a coefficient in front of my variable, that's just like having 1 out front. So negative x over 16 is the same as negative 1x over 16. And I'm just going to move my x down. Or actually, it's in the numerator, so it's just the same as saying my coefficient is actually negative 1/16 x. Okay, so anytime I see my variable in the numerator, it's just like having it out there with a fractional coefficient. So here I'll rewrite my problem as 7/4 is greater than or equal to negative 1/16 x. Okay, so I know in order to get my x by itself, I basically need to divide by negative 1/16, which is a little bit cumbersome. But remember, dividing by a number is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal, right? Multiplying by flipping it. So I'm only going to flip my coefficient, which is that. So I have 7/4, that stays the same, divided by, and I'm going to multiply both sides by not negative 1/16, but by negative 16 over 1, right? Because that's the reciprocal. So over here I'm going to multiply by negative 16 over 1, and I still had my negative 1/16 x. And the reason that works now is I can cancel all of these and I get a positive x. But because I multiplied by a negative number, right? I multiplied both sides by a negative number. I have to change my inequality sign, and I have to flip that as well. So if I will flip that, that changed. So I have x by itself. I have 7/4 on this side, and I'm multiplying it by negative 16 over 1. And now I can just do the simplification on this side. 4 goes into 4 one time, 4 goes into 16 4 times. So I have negative 4, so I have to make sure I still have my sign there. That's negative 4 times 7 is less than or equal to x. So negative 28 is less than or equal to x. Okay, so that's my solution. And I like to always have my variable, like I said before, I like to have my variable on the left side. And so I have to make sure that whatever it's saying that x is greater than, right? So the greater than sign has to stay, the bigger part of the inequality sign has to face my x, and I can rewrite it this way. So these two are equivalent statements. Let's try another one here. So I have 10 is greater than negative 2w over 7. I'm going to rewrite my problem as 10 is greater than, and since w is in the numerator, this is my coefficient. It's a fractional coefficient, negative 2/7 w. So I want to get w by itself. So I need to multiply by the coefficient, by the reciprocal of the coefficient, which is negative 7/2. So I multiply this side by negative 7/2. These cancel. That's the goal. My w comes down. But the thing is that because I multiplied by a negative number, right? I have a negative number here. I have to change my sign, my inequality sign, to be the opposite. So now I can go ahead and do the straight multiplication. I have negative 7/2 times 10. That's just like 10 over 1. So I have 2, 5. I have negative 35 is less than W. So that's my answer. And again, if I wanted to rewrite it with my variable on the left, notice that the big mouth of my inequality is facing my W, so it has to continue to face my W. And I have negative 35 on the other side. So W is greater than negative 35. It's the equivalent of saying negative 35 is less than my W. Okay, so both of these are equivalent.